Hey, Poultry Nerds. So, we are going to try something new today and post video to YouTube. And I will say that Carrie has been wanting to do it for a while, and I have been resistant.
And obviously, as a guy, I don't understand not wanting to put on makeup and fix my hair. But I live in a house with 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 5 girls that are old enough to wear makeup. And I understand that's the thing. And fixing your hair too. Guys, we'll just give it a quick. We're done.
I'm not wearing makeup, but when you propose to go on YouTube and it's 187 degrees during the day, that requires a whole element of other stuff because we don't record until the evening.
This is true.
But it would be authentic. This is what it looks like.
That's right.
So you did a thing this week. So tell us about what you did. What you got?
So I actually did this back late August when I took my test, but I got an American Gamefowl Judging Certificate. So now I'm a licensed judge.
Oh, you gonna wear like a little white coat and have a nerd pocket? Ooh, no.
Okay, so there's a debate because they will pay for either a coat, an apron, or a vest. So do I want the doctor's coat with the logo and my name on it, my judge's number? Do I just want like an apron? I don't know. Like, I haven't figured that out yet.
So if you wear a coat and it's open, then the birds can still poop on you when you pick them up. But if you had an apron on, you wouldn't have to carry around an extra shirt.
True.
Can practical.
And the coats are either white or like a heather gray color, maybe a little lighter than heather gray. They're pretty light.
Yeah, they show poop good.
Yeah. But that's why I'm like, I don't really want to get the white jacket. I was gonna, since I'm actually the one in charge of ordering the regalia for the organization, I may accidentally order like a darker gray color.
Well, I guess you could always put a apron on underneath of it anyway.
Yeah, I could have. What if I had the white doctor's coat with the logo and judge, and then like a dark blue or black apron with just my name on?
Yep.
And see,
on the front to catch the poop.
And that says that it's going to be 10 million degrees.
Yeah.
When I go to wear that.
Or you could just have both so you could just decide that day.
I could do that. It's a thing.
Yep. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I also ordered the book. So I got my new standard of perfection from the APA. I got it this time. I got one that was spiral bound so I could lay it flat or fold it over and use it a lot. They also have this poultry showmanship manual. So I figured, hey, I like doing stuff with kids and like being involved and getting kids involved and stuff. So I gotta admit, when I saw you doing the showmanship thing, I'm a little jelly. So like, I need to figure that crap out.
All 6 kids that I judged.
Books. Hey.
But it was fun. It was fun seeing what they learn and what they know and how they handle their birds and how they can plop down on their knees to chase their birds so readily when, as you get older, you can't do.
Dude, at my age, if I plop down on my knees to chase a bird, I'm feeling it for a couple of days.
Yeah.
I ain't saying that I ain't done it, but I am saying that I did feel it for a few days.
It was fun. It was interesting to see the kids and how much effort they put into it or didn't put into it. And you could tell.
So I know that you're on TikTok, and because I see some of your videos that are awesome. But do you watch the ones of some of the kids showing like sheep or pig or cows?
I watched the one with the girl that does the pigs. It just cracks me up.
The young blonde-headed one?
Is she blonde? The one that's so serious?
I do know that there is one like that. Like, this kid is so serious. You would think that she's making a $10 million business deal. Like, when she gets older and she goes to the bank to sit down and buy her farm, you know, how number one, if you get intimidated, you lose. And number two, the first one that talks after the deal is made lose. This chick's never losing. Like, she is so serious.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that reminds me of that picture of Bree that she posted a while back when she had the thing. I don't even know what it's called. I'll call it the thing, the stick in her hand. I think it was a sheep or something like that. I was like, I thought they just shaved them suckers to make stuff. But it's intense. And I think the original thing that piqued my interest was a couple of months ago, about a month and a half ago, I had a 4-H club reach out, and they're doing some research on feed and feed tags and stuff like that. And the sponsor of that club was like, I wanted to know if you would send possibly some samples or something, because apparently she's been reaching out to a lot of companies trying to get something, and they wouldn't send her jack. I'm like, these kids are going to be buying your stuff one day. You idiot. Why don't you send it to them? I told her, I was like, yeah, what do you need? And she says, I will take whatever. Okay, cool. So I got 5-pound bags, and I put it in some that were resealable so they could pop it up and smell it, seal it back up. And I put the feed tags on that bag. I sent her all those along with the PDFs of the feed tags so she could print some out for the kids to draw on and make notes. And a pretty good other bit of literature. And she was like, I didn't realize who you were. Like, I'm just a guy from Alabama, whatever. She's like, no, think about what it would take to get you to come out here to talk to the kids. And I said, an invitation, maybe lunch. And so we're going to try to work that out where I can go out there, because I want to get more involved in that kind of stuff. You got to teach today's kids, because that's the poultry nerd of tomorrow. Yeah.
Yep. Today, we are not going to jabber for an hour about ourselves. We're going to talk about how to keep your birds safe with all the stuff that's out there that can hurt them, which they will find if you're not careful.
Look, chickens and goats, like, they can find a way to break something themselves or whatever they're messing with. I'm sure some other animals are capable too, but for them to be so smart about some stuff, they're really stupid when it comes to
out there
other stuff.
a young Drake right now. I'm gonna have to put him down, and his leg is just shattered. The only thing I can think is they like to try to eat the pig food before the pigs come, which is really a stupid call because the decks weigh about 6 pounds, maybe.
I'm gonna say 6-8 pound, 300 to 500 pig.
So the only thing we can think is he got stepped on, which is really stupid on his part, but it makes culling choices makes them easier. So pigs would be the first thing on the list to hurt your bird.
Yeah. And I don't even let mine near my birds. And so far, none of my birds have been stupid enough to fly over there with them.
I don't think the pigs intentionally are hurting them. I think they're just
No, but they're
It's-
monsters compared to the chicken.
exactly.
I don't care if it's your 10, 12-pound Orpingtons or a little 3-pound Bantam game bird.
So I've got 2 Orpington hens who have decided that the cow barn is the place to be when I feed the cows. And the troughs have drain holes. And I guess some of the sweet feed falls through these drain holes and they eat the sweet feed that falls through.
Nice.
Well, they are standing there. The chickens are standing there when I go to feed the cows, and then the cows come running. They're seriously pregnant now, so their running is a lot slower than it was a few months ago. But one of the chickens, as I reached over to pour another scoop, she just goes into wailing. And I looked down. Of course, what am I supposed to do? It's a 1,500-pound cow standing there. And the cow is standing on her foot and she can't get her foot loose. So there was a rake sitting there. So I took a rake and just reached over and pushed the cow with it. And darn it, that chicken didn't run in a circle. And as the cow shifted her weight, stepped on her again. The worst thing that I could find was it moved one of the scales on her leg. She's still over there every morning trying to eat sweet feed.
It's like the same grains that they eat, mixed with a little bit of molasses. It's no different than us eating pancakes in the morning, I guess.
Now, my chickens are smart. They know my routine. And so I think there's 3 hens. They run, and it's pretty far distance for them to run around to the cow barn and eat any sweet feed that falls and then race me back to the barn in time for me to feed them.
So this is what I'm picturing. I'm picturing early morning, garage door starts popping up. Those 3 start looking around. They see the gator go over to the cow barn, and then they just take off.
Oh, yeah. If I come out of the garage on the gator, and the cows are usually in the back grazing at sunrise.
Yeah.
So they will raise their heads and they'll look to see if I turn to go towards the barn, the quail barn, or do I turn and go towards the cow barn? If I go towards the cow barn, it's stampede and everybody better get out of the way. If I go towards the quail barn, they'll continue grazing. So if the goats are in the front and I'm going to go feed the cows, I intentionally drive really slowly. Stampede doesn't run over the goats because the goats aren't as smart. They're probably not the most intelligent animals that I have.
I was going to say goats. If yours are like mine, they're pretty low on that totem pole.
Yours came from me, so yeah, they're the same.
They did.
They just run. I don't know. Do you remember that episode of Friends where Phoebe just runs like with her arms wailing and everything? And yeah, that's how the goats run.
I was going to say if the goats didn't need the front ones to run with, that's exactly how they would run.
Oh, yeah.
And they would make that loud squealing noise.
Yeah. So I try to drive the gator in such a manner that nobody gets crushed in stampedes jockeying for positions. But it doesn't always happen. So I guess the first order on our list here is just how your farm is set up. Make sure that the other animals are being respectful of your birds as best you can.
Or also make sure you don't drive too fast in your side-by-side. Because, we're talking about keeping your animals safe. Yeah, he's a run right in front of you.
I have run over a rooster or an Orpington. He laid down, though. I didn't know he was there. He's on the passenger side. It was in the driveway, and he just decided that's where he needed to take a nap.
Well, should have woke up quicker.
Okay. So, yes, just hazards of farm life would be first on the list. Next up would be chicken wire versus hardware cloth. I feel like we cover this a lot in a lot of different locations, but it comes up over, and I can get that. People new to keeping chickens wouldn't understand, but chicken wire is to keep chickens in.
Right.
And can keep, the good way to remember this is to keep chickens in and contained so other animals can rip through it to eat them easily.
And really, the only thing chicken wire is good for is to keep birds in or out. Because if you use it over the roof of a run, hogs won't fly through it.
Yeah, if you can cut it with scissors.
That's about it.
Yeah. If you can cut it with scissors, which you can, chicken wire, it is not going to keep anything with any kind of claws out.
No, it won't.
Now, not at this house, but the house before, we had a turkey pen out of a chain link. You know those storage bins they put behind like gas stations to hold all the cardboard? I got one of those. It was like 10 by 20 or something, and it was like 8 feet tall. It was really nice.
That must have been
Something, we think it was a mink, actually peeled the chain link down and massacred all of my turkeys. So while chicken wire is almost guaranteed not to save your birds, there's really no guarantees. If something wants in bad enough, it's going to get in.
Yeah. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Mm-hmm. So hardware cloth is the one that has the little squares that we use a ton of it in the quail world. So if you're not doing quail, if you're doing other birds, you wouldn't have such a hate relationship with it. But if you get quail, you will learn to hate hardware cloths. It's a necessary evil.
Yeah. And like when working with hardware cloths, I got to say, and if you could see my leg right now, it would say it too. Be careful with the stuff. Even if it's 100 degrees outside, if you're going to be like putting hardware cloth around the bottom of your pen or your run to keep stuff out and in, you might want to wear pants or your legs will look like you got into a fight with a squirrel. One of mine does right now. So the stuff's great. It's handy, but you need to be careful with it too, because those little pointy ends will scratch the crap out of you.
And if you're using a lot of it, a pair of dikes or wire cutters, whatever you want to call them, they will wear your hand out pretty quickly. They do make an attachment, a drill that you can zip right through it and like butter, and it's not very expensive.
I was going to say, if you're going to be working with hardware cloths, the attachment that she's talking about, you can get it to go into one of the little impact chucks or a regular drill chuck. I think they're less than 30, 40 bucks at the most if you get a really nice one. Also, side grinder. Put your cutting wheel on that thing. Boom. Works great. Using the 10 snips and all those kind of cutters, that's going to work once. But your hands are going to get raw and have blisters if you're building a cage or a pen.
Yep.
Do that.
All right. Next on our list is heat lamps. People love to hate on me because I hate on them. Heat lamps do not belong in a dusty, straw-filled space like a barn. Burning barns, shed, coops, whatever you want to call them, it does happen. It happens regularly with heat lamps. And I know people will argue with us, so go ahead and send in the hate mail. But heat lamps cause fires.
Poultry Nerds Podcast.com. And look, I'll say this. I will put in this little caveat. If you want to get a true, from a supply house, $10 red heat lamp that is specifically designed not to explode, be all right. Now, if you want to get what you will find at a lot of feed stores or even box stores like Lowe's and Tractor Supply and those type places, and I'm not knocking those because I love them and spent a lot of money just this past weekend at both of those, actually, buying stuff to build a pen. But those $2-3 heat lamps, those things will blow up. And when they do, best case scenario, your chicks are going to want to go see what the shiny stuff is. It just hit the floor and could probably wind up ingesting some of it. Worst case scenario, barn catches on fire and they all pass.
And even if you don't even have it turned on, remove it, because we're talking about birds. They cannot tell the difference from standing on the ground looking between a floppy electrical cord or something to land on. So they'll try to jump up on it. They'll play with it. They'll pick at it. And we're not talking about just the lamps, but any electrical cords.
Oh, they're going to light on it like it's a perch.
Yeah, and I use brooder plates. They try to perch on the electrical cords for brooder plates. It just is what it is. They're inquisitive. They're bird brains. They're not going to do that. Okay, next on my list is feed bags. The string. You wouldn't think about the string, but I go through at least 4 bags a day. So that's 4 strings that I set in random places because I'm horrible about it. So the back of the gator must have a mile of them in there. But I used to set them on top of the quail cages. One day, I know they're just standing there. There's a place to set them. I might as well just throw it on the floor, be safer. But anyway.
Then you got to bend over to pick it up.
I know. One day, I was moving some birds around, and I grabbed this hen, and another one came with her. And I cannot make this up. These hens were tied together by a feed bag string. A quail in a quail cage tied themselves together. Yep.
I can see that.
So they eat them. It could impact their crop, compact their crop.
Either one, actually.
Tie themselves up like those 2 quail did. Just, it's a chicken and they're going to do stuff.
And look, those of y'all that have had poultry for a hot little minute, you're like, yeah, nothing really surprises me anymore. And those of you that are thinking about getting into poultry, you're like, no way. But look, I promise, after you've had birds, that first year, you're going to be meh. But that second year, after you've had birds for 2 years, none to surprise you anymore.
Nope. I had some chicks last week or the week before in the barn. The last of the Orpington grouts is still in the barn. And they had found, one of them had found something that was blue. I still do not know what it was. Maybe the size of a dollar bill, maybe, if even that. But it was bright blue, running like lightning speed around this, what are those coops, like 5x8 or something?
Yeah, sounds right.
Running. So the other chicks couldn't get it. And nobody else, it was really funny. I should have taken a video, but the other chicks were just looking at it like, why are you running? We do not care about your little blue thing. That it was running. It really thought it had something. I don't know
What
what
did it have?
it was. Just blue. I didn't even stop. I didn't even care. Just let it have its fun, whatever. But they also eat the styrofoam. They ate my insulation, my blown insulation I paid so much for, as high up as they could off the wall. They'll pretty much eat anything. Yeah.
I do know that for a fact.
Yeah. The next step is moldy feed.
Which is the one thing you don't want them to eat.
And we actually did a podcast with Jeff about wet feed on the ground, blah, blah, blah. Probably about 4 months ago or so. So
somewhere in there, yeah.
Yep, you could go back and reference that, but then you're going to get botulism and all that other stuff. What's the one that starts with an M?
So Microplasma.
No.
Mycotoxins.
There you go, mycotoxins.
Yeah, the mycotoxins are in the moldy feed.
Yep.
And there's people that have had just little chunks of feed that were moldy in a whole 50-pound sack, and they actually lost some birds that weren't that healthy. That's a pretty huge thing. That's probably the biggest reason why it's so important to keep your feed stored somewhere that's not overly humid in a dry container, like a barrel or something with a lid, and don't go buy 6 months worth of feed. Buy 1 to 2 months at the absolute most. If you're buying store-bought feed, I would not buy more than a month. If you're buying a custom blend that you know was milled like within a week or so of you getting it, then you could go 45, 60 days at the absolute max. But yeah, don't hang on to it forever.
Next on the list would be rocks or other objects on the ground, specifically items where they're jumping off of the roost. That's where they're landing. You don't want them bruising the pads of their feet or breaking their toes. You could end up with bumblefoot, lacerations, broken legs, slip tendons. You could theoretically lose your bird on a slip tendon. I've lost one that way.
Yeah, and like some people, like our friends that have gamefowl, they'll have roost 6, 7, 8 feet high, but they also will put anything from sand to peat moss to straw on the bottom, so when they do come down, they're not landing on the hard ground. Aside from that, if you're not making special precautions on the ground to protect their feet, I would not recommend you to have a roost more than 2 to 3 feet high. Because especially if it's a big bird that, that come down on a rock, there went your pretty bird.
My highest roosts are the turkeys, and they're 4 feet.
Yeah.
All the chickens are 20 inches.
But I will also say, folks, if her runs were freshly cleaned out, you could lay down and take a nap there, because she mixes stall pellets, peat moss, like she has soft soil dirt where she is, it's sandy. So she's not getting bumbled. Other places where you have that clay-like soil that has them small pointy rocks in it, that's not good. Get you a little rototiller and till that stuff up. While you're at it, get some lime to kill bacteria and germs and some peat moss and throw that in there and till it in and mix it up and fluff the dirt up. You'll be good to go.
I love my new little tiller, by the way.
You're handy as crap.
I know. So next on the list is ventilation from wrapping the coop. Also something we will get hate mail for. We do live in the South, so we are not going to claim to understand those who live in the Arctic Circle. But it doesn't change the fact that a bird needs fresh air to breathe.
The people that we know that do live, Vermont, Wisconsin, Canada, they've got holes in the tops of their coops indoors to let air flow.
So if you want to wrap your coop, while we are going to encourage you not to, but
you do you, boo, on your familiar rules.
Something loose, like maybe instead of putting painter's plastic up and completely making like a greenhouse effect, maybe put tarps up so that they can move with the breeze and keep the air moving. The idea here is to keep, so when they breathe and it's cold, you know how when you go outside and you breathe out, you can see your breath. That's moisture. So if a
Mhm.
bird is doing that all night long and you've created a greenhouse effect, then that moisture is going to be in there. It's going to cause respiratory problems. It's going to maybe cause frostbite on their combs or wattles. It's a hazard to their health.
It's the same concept as people tell you don't put a water inside the house at night because it adds humidity to it. If you don't have ventilation, what they're breathing out will do it.
Yes. Now, I am on the other side of that. I say do put water in the coop. But just
because ours are very well ventilated.
if they're well ventilated, put
We'll
water
say
in
that
there.
twice.
Do not put it in a slow cooker where it's constantly steaming. I see people do that on the chicken groups. That's just putting steam inside of a coop. Now, if it's open where the air can blow the steam out, that would be okay. But my reason for saying putting water inside the coop is what happens if for whatever reason you can't get out there to let them out. Say you had an emergency in the middle of the night and you're gone for 48 hours and you don't let them out, then they're just going to die from dehydration. So it's more of a emergency type situation as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and like for me, my watering system for 90% of my birds and one of my weekend projects coming up will get the rest of them, but it's all automated. And I do that because crap happens. And I'm okay if a bird's feeder is empty for a day. I'm not okay if a bird has no water because they're like humans in the sense that they can go a while, a couple of days without feed, 3, 4 even. It happens all the time when you ship them. But going without water, they can't do that so long. So keep that in mind.
So
It is better to have water in a coop that has airflow at the top in negative temperatures than it is to have birds be freezing and thirsty.
correct. I agree. Roost bars. I personally use boards, 2x4s for the chickens and 2x6s or 2x8s, whatever we got laying around. We don't go buy boards. We just have stuff. And we just use those flat side up for the birds. Make sure they're not metal because metal freezes and then that could cause frostbite that way. Also, make sure that they're big enough, especially if you're in a colder environment, or even here it drops to 0 for a couple of weeks, it seems, every year. Because if it's a flat board and then they roost down on top of their feet, then their feet are covered by their body
Your
heat.
toes nice and cozy.
Yeah, they are 108 degrees.
Yep.
So, yeah, toasty toes. Just keep that in mind. If you're giving them like a closet rod or something, then their toes are going to be curled around it. And then on the bottom side, they're exposed to the cold, wet air. The other thing is I see people using branches and stuff for roost and justify it by saying they used to roost in trees. That is true. They did used to roost in trees.
About 100 years before we domesticated them.
Growing up, the chickens we had, Dad got gamefowl after he got rid of the white rocks, but they lived in the woods and roosted in the trees. The difference is they chose the branch size. From all the trees in the whole forest, they would choose what they needed in order to be safe, be warm, be level, whatever.
They also have limbs and leaves and pine straw blocking wind for them.
Right.
And they're like that.
So a crooked old branch might not be big enough around in diameter to keep their toes from freezing. That would be one concern. A second concern would be if they're constantly roosting at an angle, say they are in a crook or something, then they could get a crooked keel bone.
Yeah. And people that have those, we're not saying, oh my God, you did this so wrong. A lot of people use tree limbs and stuff because they're repurposing and they're taking advantage of what they have. And that's awesome. What I actually have some tree limbs in some of my pens. But what I did was I used a piece of 5 1/4 deck board. So it's a little more than 3/4. It's about 3/4 of an inch thick. It's not 1 inch. And it's almost 6 inches wide. 1 by 6, if that's what you can find. And I cut sections and I just screwed them to poles. Some of my breeding pens are actual dog kennels that have the 2x4 wire in them. So, slide the 2x4 up. It's, the small end is up. And what I did was I took some 5 1/4 deck board, stuck it in place. A lot of times I would I'd cut them a couple feet, whatever, put them on either side. That way I didn't have to worry about the roost pole sliding out because sometimes chickens get a little rambunctious, especially turkeys. But when turkeys are in those, they get up there on that 5 1/4. It's anything is 6, 8 inches wide. They pop up, they land, and then they feel sturdy and they sit down and they can actually relax and be as stress free as a bird can.
My first chicken coop as an adult, we used a cedar log. It was big. It wasn't like 1 inch diameter. It was like 8 inches diameter.
But a log like that would be awesome because it being cedar would also help keep mites and pests away.
Exactly.
Smart thinking.
Now, my good friend that lives in Michigan, she asked me what to use for a roost when she was building her new coop. And I told her if I was starting over, I would do sawhorses. And she asked why. And I said, when you go to clean everything, what's in your way? And it's the roost. It's always in your way. You always have to dodge it to go collect something.
So you can either make them on a hinge where you have to pick them up, tie them, do all that, or you get a sawhorse where you can go in there, take your foot and slide it out of the way.
Yeah, or take it outside and wash it.
Yeah.
And everybody always has short pieces of something laying around just to make sawhorses around. I have probably 10 sawhorses now that David's made me out of just scrap wood that's probably 18 inches tall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's what I put in the barn for the grow outs inside to start playing on so that when I put them outside, they don't do the mosh pit thing. They actually start roosting.
Yeah. And side note, 3 regular stud 96 inch 2x4s. If you cut out of 2 of them, you can get 6 32-inch length pieces. All right. So you got the top, middle, bottom to make that I-beam out of 2 of them. And then you use the third one and cut it to make the legs for the other 2. So 3 2x4s will make you 2 roosts. Because the first, one time I was at your house, I was like, why in the crap do you have 2-foot sawhorses?
Yeah, they're all green.
David, is he making stuff now sitting on a bucket? And when you told me that, I was like, that's smart. And now I've got quite a few of them and actually bought some 2x4s the other day when I was getting all the other crap to make some more. Because, when you put your roost poles between the wire from one side to the other, yeah, it's convenient. But like in a grow out situation, I had a 2x4 between 2. I do that in the corners. And them son of a guns would get on there as many as they could fit. And I had one piece that was a 1x, and my wife and I kept debating on how long it would take for it to either fall or break. And when I finally replaced all of those in that pen with sawhorses, that thing, like, if you took the two sides that were stuck through the fence, there was a 6-7 inch drop from where they, like, so many of them had sat on it. And I mean, that couldn't be sturdy. So they're trying to sleep and wiggling and balancing and stuff like that. So sawhorses, they're easy. And the next thing that we have to talk about is using tarps for roosts. And I'll say this, even in the South, we get snow. I had a chicken pen, one of those neat ones that you can get off of Amazon for $200. It's a 10 by 20, nice little pointy roof on it. The wire that you need to throw away to go around the whole thing. And I had over the top, because, it's a pretty steep little roof, but I had used a tarp for the roof. Because in my mind, it's going to provide shade, keep rain off part of the run, all those benefits. Perfect. Plenty of angle. The one time we get rain that snows, hey, this thing's got like several inches of snow gathered up on it. I'm like, man, that's cool. And then the daylight came and the underlayment started to freeze. And then the next night, chickens were all over the place because it caved in. And if I'd have had my roost built into it, I'd have been out that too. But nope, I tossed my sawhorses out of it as I dug through and collected everything because I was not happy. And that's one of the reasons why I love my aluminum coop, because they don't break. I had a freaking concrete block land on one of them. Didn't mess it up. There's a scratch on the rubber, and at the peak of the roof, like 3 or 4 stitches came undone when a concrete block landed on it. So tarps, like, if you do those, you need to be extremely careful for the roof. Take precautions, poke holes in it. Like after it rains that first time, because I understand you're chickening on a budget. That first time it rains, you need to take a knife, box cutter, something out there, find the spots where it collects, cut you a slit. Otherwise, it's going to crash.
Wait till you're funny.
I love funnies.
So I had a really good friend, and she knew I was looking for turkeys and found some and brought them to me. This is probably 10 years ago now. They were royal palms, and I was not prepared. Thank you. I'm not ready for them. So she dropped them off. There were 6 of them, and they were probably about 3 months old.
Okay.
We didn't know. We didn't have anywhere to put them. They were too big to just go somewhere. And so we went out there, and we had woods at that house, and we just took some fencing that we had and made like a triangle fence between 3 trees, just wrapped it around, and threw a tarp over the top of it. It rained like 12, 15 inches, it seemed like. And I didn't think anything about it. I went out there the next day to feed them, and it had created a bowl of water. And the 6 turkeys were smashed up against the fence between the tarp and the fence, just looking at me like, really?
Hey.
This is how you're going to treat?
I thought you looked like you're a nice lady. Now you had squished up against this. You would have been fine getting wet.
So those turkeys are the ones that ended up in the 10 by 20 chain link fence that ultimately got broken into by a weasel or a mink or something and got eaten anyway. So sometimes you can't win for losing. Sometimes it seems.
And I'm going to say this. When it comes to putting together facilities for your birds, don't cheap out. And I say that because I know we want to, because we want to get chickens. We want to have them because they're cute. They're fun to play with. They're nice to talk to. They won't tell your secrets, whatever your reason is. But learn from our mistakes. That's the whole reason that we talk about a lot of this random crap. it's a lot of it's stuff we've done. And I found out that you can either do it cheap 3 or 4 times over the course of 5 years, or you can do it once and not do it again. And, when we're going to have animals, regardless of their purpose, you want to be good stewards of them and you want to protect them and keep them safe, because at the end of the day, you don't want a weasel eating your chicken. You want to eat it if that's what it's for. Or you don't want a snake getting your eggs. You want to get them. So do everything you can to provide them the best housing possible and take care of them and let them have a good life while they have it. Because we raise beef cattle, and them son guns are fed really well. Really good place to get out of the rain when the morons choose to get out of the rain. So take care of them. Keep them safe so you can enjoy them as long as you want to. I actually saw, and Rip sent me this today, and I was mind blown, because we talk about how old our chickens get and, this, that, and the other. Probably no surprise. That's actually a Guinness's thing, believe it or not. And the Guinness's Book of World Record had a chicken. Now I can't find it to save my life, but I want to say it was like 18 years old.
Remember when Jody Chicken was on talking about the showmanship? She said that they had a chicken that lasted 18 or 19 years.
Yeah. So
I had two that are 11 or 12.
I mean, my foundation trio rooster of one of my gamefowl families that I have he was 13 and a half, almost 14 when he passed. And he'd seen some tough times.
And those old birds have lived through all of our mistakes and kept on trucking.
Yeah.
All right. This was just some of the stuff that we've done and passing on our wisdom so you don't have to repeat it.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Take care, y'all.